What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Ball Fanatic Show. We are into episode 4. My name is Skylar. Michael, how we doing?
Doing a little bit better today. Last night was a little bit rough, but I had a chance to sleep on it and kind of collect our thoughts. And today's a little bit better. I mean, we get to talk football today, so I mean, it's going to be a good day. Just trying to get over last night.
I'll be honest with you, Michael. I don't feel any better. I don't feel any better. In fact, I woke up this morning and I don't know. I just wanted to go back to bed. Like it didn't seem real. It kind of goes against everything that I've been hyping this team up on. I felt like a liar because I don't think we were hiding shit. I think we're just that bad.
Uh, you could be right on that. And before we get fully into this, I want to give a shout out. So I don't know if you knew this, but Cornersville and Richland played this past weekend. Cornersville did end up winning the game 62-28, but aside from the score there, just big event going on. It was the gold out game for Richland. People from around this area know what all that is about. Know the whole story behind the gold out game. I didn't get permission to come in and tell the whole story, so I won't do that. But um, I don't remember the exact amount that was raised, but it was over 2,500 that was raised
Nice.
towards the gold out game. So, I mean, aside from the score and all the stuff that happened in the game, a big fundraiser that went on in that game. Um, but I say let's get right into it. Of course, we're going to start off. This is the Ball Fanatic Show, so we will talk Tennessee, Florida as much as we don't want to after that game last night.
Unfortunately. Um, so I will say this: I got to spend Saturday night with the family in Neyland. We did the Vol watch party for the volunteer club. That was actually really cool. I encourage anybody to be a part of that. Do it. It was awesome. I think it would have been a lot better, obviously, if it would have won. But being able to watch the game as a watch party inside of Neyland, I thought that was pretty cool. But let's talk about the game. Let's talk about the dirty stuff. Let's talk about how we came out. We didn't stop them really. They just missed a field goal to start the game, but we turned around, went right down their throat in like 4 plays, and I was like, "That's it. That's exactly what we were." I knew it. Like we were gonna do it. And then once again, after we scored that fast, it's like we just disappear off the face of the earth. I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but yeah, like you said, Florida they did drive right down the field on us, which was a little bit disappointing because our defense has been so promising this year. Um, we did end up blocking that field goal, and like you said, drove right down the field. And I had the same thought as you. I was like, okay, it started, we're good to go. Let's run up the score on them, and then here comes Florida right back down the field, and ended up scoring a touchdown. And from there, it was I don't really have the words for how the game went, but Florida pretty much could do whatever they wanted to, and Tennessee could do nothing about it.
I agree. It's one of those things where defense did not show up in the first half, but credit to Florida on answering. Like, I mean, when we went down the score, we scored in 4 plays, I believe, and they came right back, drove it down. I think it was like a 8-minute drive. I mean, it felt like in the first half we only had the ball 3 times, like 3 times. I mean,
I think we had the ball a total of 5 times. I know they showed a stat because I rewatched the game this morning. They showed a stat. Tennessee scored a touchdown on their first possession. In their
mm-hmm.
next 3 possessions, they had 1 first down, and then they had the ball right before the end of the half. And so you had 5 total possessions in the first half.
Yeah, first half was very and Tennessee fans are not going to want to hear this, but Tennessee fans are hurt right now. That first half was very reminiscent of a game last year.
Absolutely, and I'm not going to bring up which game, but I know exactly which
Everybody
one you're
knows.
talking
Everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. We made a very average to below average quarterback look like a Heisman Trophy winner last night.
about. And I sent you a message in the game. I cannot stand a zone defense because,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know what the deal was last night. in the past 2 games, I know we hadn't played big teams, but when we have gotten to 3rd down, especially, Tim Banks has had that defense be very, very aggressive on 3rd down. And last night, there was
7 of 8 in the first half.
there was multiple 3rd down and longs that Tennessee got Florida into, and they would drop back into coverage. They would just bring the front 4, and Graham Mertz was just firing into each of those open pockets out there like he was throwing to targets in practice. I mean, it was
That's
insane.
essentially all he was doing. I mean, it was easy for Florida to move the ball on us. I mean, it was quite disturbing in the first half. Now, I will say this: the defense did step up in the second half, but at that point, the damage was done. But
And to your point, the damage was done there. Florida also did what Georgia did last year. Georgia last year, they got up on us and just went vanilla, just basically ran the ball the entire second half. They didn't care if they scored or not.
drain
And
that clock, man.
that's exactly what Florida did in the second half. They were up, what was the score? 26-10 at halftime, 26-7, something like
Yeah,
that.
26-7. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now we came out of the half and drove down the field, but can't finish with a touchdown.
yeah, but once Florida got up like that, they knew, hey, we don't have to score again as long as we can drain this clock and then try to prevent Tennessee from scoring. This game's in the bag, and that's exactly what they did. And I mean, look at where we're at now.
Yep. Well, I have a hard time with this one. I kind of want to go on a big rant, but I'm not going to.
I do want to say this. So, we kind of talked a little bit about Milton during the game last night.
Yep.
And looking back at it today, I don't blame Milton as much as I did at first. And I'll tell you why too.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Milton, I counted 9 total plays where either he made a bad pass or a bad decision in that game. Of course, the big one was the interception that he threw. I mean,
Unacceptable.
yeah, that one was just terrible. I've got 3 of them that were questionable where, he was partly at fault, but also somebody else was. So there was a busted play in the first half where he ended up throwing the ball out of bounds afterwards, which was safe because it didn't cause anything bad to happen to Tennessee. But I mean, he probably could have made something else happen or made a better decision off of it. Then you've got the right at the beginning of the second half, the handoff to Jalen Hyatt, or he tried throwing it out to the flat, and Jalen Wright hit the ball, ended up fumbling. Joe Milton did recover it, so that one I don't know if he was fully at fault. And then later in the second half, you had a pass over the middle to Squirrel White, tight coverage, but the ball hit Squirrel in the hands. It's a ball that he probably should have caught. So I mean, Joe Milton did not have his best night, but he didn't miss a whole lot of throws. And the ones that he did miss, they weren't bad. And other than the interception, I mean, he didn't really put the ball into harm's way with it. I'll say this too. I am not impressed with Dante Thornton at all. He's got all the athletic ability in the world, but that deep shot downfield, that's one that he should have fought for. I mean, it hit him in the hands. It
Yep.
was on the money. I mean, was it slightly underthrown? Maybe, but it's a play that should have been made.
I'd rather a ball be underthrown and give your guy a chance than to overthrow it and it be an incomplete pass. And
100%.
I understand.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to try to continue the conversation on Joe Milton, because it's a very, very hot topic right now. But there's also more issues. But let's stay on the topic of Joe Milton. Statistically, maybe it doesn't look like a bad night. But let me tell you something that you're missing a little bit, and I need everybody to understand. It is completely his fault that he's not looking at the play clock when he's trying to audible out of something. That happened like 7 times in the first half where he's trying to audible into something new and he's got 3 seconds left to do it. And it's a delay of game, or the start of the second half, you blow 2 freaking timeouts in the first drive for 3 points. That's unacceptable. Can't happen.
I'll give you that one. Yeah.
And another thing, how many times are we going to sit here and say, how many times are we going to sit here and say, oh, it wasn't his best night, but he wasn't terrible? I feel like we've said that 3 games now this year. And at the end of the day, he's not good off script. There was a play in the fourth quarter, probably 10 minutes left to go. I don't know. I'm totally guessing because I didn't write down the note. The defense was running complete man, and we take like 3 deep shots to the end zone in a row, and they showed like the sky cam replay of the play, and perfect pocket for once. It was a very rare occasion, but he tries to hit that fade in the end zone, but you can see 40 square yard green space with nobody other than the referee in that space where he could have easily picked up 20 yards and it'd have been a first and goal. That was something that Hendon Hooker did so well last year. He gave what the defense gave him, or he took what the defense gave him. And Joe Milton didn't do that. It's almost like when he had to make a play off script, it was either a sack, it was a run out of bounds. He didn't, I don't know. I just felt like he should have stepped up in the pocket. And when he seen that green grass, you got to go for it, man. You got to get yards any way you can. How many rushing yards did Hendon Hooker get last year against Florida?
It was at least 80, I believe.
It was a lot. I think it was like 90. I mean, he took over the game. I mean, hell, he had 60 yards on one play where the pocket collapsed, and what did he do? He didn't panic. He just freaking ran. I mean, that's something that I'm not seeing from Joe Milton. At the end of the day, he does not have the spark. And at the end of the day, the offense feeds off that spark, and I'm not seeing it in Joe Milton. And that hurts me to say because I have been a believer in Joe. I have supported him through thick and thin because I knew just how good of a teammate that he's been the last 2 years, even despite the adversity. But I'm not liking what I'm seeing from him. I didn't like his press and his post-game press interview. I didn't like it. He basically said it was an easy fix. It was all. I mean, he did take some blame, but he kind of said it was all okay, and it's not. You lost to one of the worst Florida teams in a long time. But
absolutely,
at the end of the day, this is I truly feel like there's way more issues than Joe. So I would love to get on with that, but like, I'm not backing him anymore. He better start backing up the talk, or I'll be the next fan screaming Nico on the sidelines. So
I was gonna say I'm not out on Joe, but I'm kind of with you on that. It's to the point of how far do we really back him, because there is a lot of stuff that he needs to fix that we keep saying, well, it's just a bad night, it's just a bad night, and you hit the nail on the head. How long does it go before it's just a bad night becomes it's just what he is?
Yep, I agree. But let me say this: Cooper Mays, Mincy was actually cited for possession, simple possession, I guess. So I don't know if he really played last night. But you had 2 offensive linemen inactive, not playing. Once again, yes. Josh Heupel talks about Cooper Mays is ready. He's coming in. He leads the fan base into thinking that he's playing, and then, of course, he doesn't. And so all that to say, offensive line got bullied yesterday. It was ugly. We couldn't get a push. Jalen Wright is one of the best backs in the nation, but even the best back in the nation couldn't get a push against a Florida defensive line that maybe they are good. Because Utah, they didn't have a bad game. I don't know, but in a whole, we were not balanced whatsoever. It was pretty pathetic.
Yeah, and defensive side of the ball for Florida, it wasn't bad against Utah. And we ought to mention some things about Florida, because this was an SEC game, Tennessee versus Florida. I mean, I know we're trying to talk Vols right now. This is a Vols podcast, but the last thing I have about the Vols before I say some stuff about the Gators is, man, somebody needs to teach these guys how to tackle. Like, for instance,
That's another big one. Yep.
The ETN run, he broke through the line. And Kamal hadn't bumped shoulders with him, his hands by his side, and didn't even attempt to try to tackle him, just ran into him. I mean, the amount of times in the game last night that I saw a defender try to just lower the shoulder, make a big hit, and not wrap up and make a tackle, I lost count. I mean, it was ridiculous. I've seen high school teams that tackle better than Tennessee did last night. They're not wrapping up.
No, it was pathetic. Kamal had been playing lights out. And in fact, you know what? I'm not going to call it. The whole defense was playing lights out, flying around the ball the first 2 weeks. And like I said, very reminiscent of a game last year where it looked like that we've never played defense before. I mean, we allowed one of the least explosive offenses in the nation to score 20 points in a quarter.
Yeah. And
That is that just can't happen. It was ugly. Didn't like it. Like I said, we did make the adjustments at a halftime. I think we had like three straight 3-and-outs on the defense coming in the third quarter. So I mean, I think the yardage differential in the third quarter, which is crazy because we couldn't put it in the end zone. I think we had like 200 something yards, and Florida only had like 13. I mean, we did exactly what we needed to do to get back in this ball game. But when you give up 26 points before the half, I mean, it's insane, man. I do have a fact, and the reason why this is all the more, I don't know, disgusting, whatever you want to call it. This is the first time Tennessee has not scored 30 points in a game against any team not named Georgia, and it happens to Florida
I'm trying to think
under
back.
Heupel.
Uh,
Under Heupel,
The
maybe Ole
only other
Miss.
game,
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss is
Ole
the only
Miss.
other game
Yeah,
I can think of.
that's the only other game. But
That's
you
crazy.
know, within the last 2 years or whatever. But yeah, Ole Miss is the only other game. I mean, that is it's you know, move on. I'm ready to go. I'm done.
I mean, credit to Florida. I mean,
Credit to Florida.
I said this at the beginning of the season. When Florida's run game works, they're a very good team. And last night, I mean, ETN by himself rushed for 172 yards. Granted, one of them was a 62-yard run, but Florida ran for 183 yards in the game
And he
last
deserved that run. He deserved it. I
night.
mean,
Absolutely. I mean,
yeah,
with how poor the tackling was on the Tennessee side, he deserved
yeah.
that run. And I mean, they got the job done. Um,
I'll talk about Florida, especially in the predictions when we come up to that. Billy Napier needed that. Needed
Absolutely.
it bad.
If he didn't win that game, I felt like things were about
It
to
was
go.
going to be my TikTok prediction. I mean, I had them going 4-8 because I truly felt like our team was the better team. And I will say this: I talked to my family this morning, and I'm going to catch a lot of heat for it because I'm going on the record to say it. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it. I just don't feel like the better team won last night, dude.
They did not. The better team did not win. I've got a cousin that is a Florida fan, and he sent me a text last night and said, "Go Gators." Of course, I didn't send a text back till
Oh,
this morning.
every Gator fan came out of the damn. Every Bama fan came out like, and I'm like, dude, you're literally losing to USF. You better shut your damn mouth. But
But
whatever.
I'll give him credit. We had a conversation this morning whenever I finally texted him back, and he said, "Dude, y'all should have hung 50 on us. We're not good this year." He said, "We're better than we were against Utah, but we're not very good this year." He said, "We should not have won that game." And I said, "I mean, you're 100% right, but I mean, I tip your hat to y'all. Y'all executed a game plan that y'all had ready and won the ball game. So I mean,
Let me say
that's all
this: that atmosphere in Gainesville, that was something special to see, even as a Tennessee fan, dude.
it it
The
was.
lights go out. You got the flashlights. You're singing. I'm not even going. No, I'm not. I'm done. I can't be talking about another team like that. That comedian Josh Prey on Facebook. You seen him, right?
I've
Big
seen him.
Florida fan.
Yeah.
Man, he been rubbing it in our face all dang day, bro. I'm whatever. Move along. Move along. Move along.
Last thing I'll say about Florida, they still have a lot of questions that need answering, but yesterday that was big for them.
Well,
Um,
we just extended Billy Napier's contract, so
Absolutely, he'll be back next year. So.
we are so good at that, dude. That we are so good at that. I love Tennessee, man.
With Shane Beamer last year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we're so good at this game. But let's
I,
move along. As much as I love my Vols, as much as we all do, that's why you are listening. It was ugly, and they got a lot of things to clean up, and it starts with everybody. Okay, it's not just one person. Um,
Absolutely.
but hey, LSU took a trip to start Vegas, and they pulled a Tennessee of last year when Tennessee went to LSU. That's very reminiscent. They got the win, 41-14. And this happened. I mean, I literally called it last week. I thought Mississippi State was really getting away from who I felt like they truly are. And they're trying to force a run game that's not there. And it showed in a big way.
Mississippi State looked very uncomfortable yesterday with that game plan, and I sent you a text in the game. I said, if Zach Arnett wanted to go with this new game plan, he needed to do it with a new quarterback. Nothing against Will Rogers because he is fantastic. He's one of the best quarterbacks in SEC history, and that's not my opinion. That is a fact, just based on the records that he holds. But he has run this air raid offense that Mike Leach has run for his entire career, and for him to try to go from that air raid to this new balanced attack, trying to get the running game going, he's struggling with it in a bad way. And I think my preseason prediction is going to come right, and Mississippi State is going to really, really struggle this year.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a bunch of state fans, on my TikTok. They were like, "Really? You only have us going 6-6?" And I'm like, "You should be happy. Like, it's a
I had
whole
them
new."
going 4-8.
Yeah, I mean, you should like. That's what I'm saying. Like, to me, I just couldn't comprehend because I knew the head coach was blanking on me, but I could have told you yesterday.
Yeah,
The head
man.
coach was, yeah, Zach Arnett. Thank you. He was the defensive coordinator, was he not? So like,
Yeah, I'm
it
pretty sure he was
completely, and he completely changed it, and he did it out of like almost spite. He was like, "Hey, my defense is on the field way too long. So what I'm going to do is change the offense to where we go 3-and-out 3 times to start the football game and keep my defense on the field." Makes no sense whatsoever. I feel bad. I feel so bad for Will Rogers. I am such a Will Rogers believer. And the fact that he stayed there because he loves Mississippi State, but yet you got a head coach that is taking the ball out of his hands. That's just unfair, dude.
and I don't know if you watched the end of the Arizona game the week before, but he was like almost on the field begging Coach Arnett, "Hey, put the ball in my hands." And when Arnett did, Will Rogers went out and he made plays, and he's
Yep,
like, "See, give me the ball, and I can make stuff happen." So I'm with you. I feel bad for him. Um, he is a really good quarterback on a team that is not going to be very good this year because they're just not comfortable in this new offense. But
I agree. So far, I'm not a big believer in Zach Arnett. He's going to have to do something to really show me. But let's talk about the team who may be the best team in the West.
all right,
Maybe,
so
maybe,
before
because
before
LSU got a big win.
before we get on to this, did I was I on to something in my preseason prediction? Did I not say that they were going to lose to Florida State and that was going to be a wake up call and we're going to see an LSU buzzsaw come the rest of the year? What was I on to something there?
Uh, I think you cheated because that's exactly what happened last year. But yes, I think you were on to something.
Yeah,
LSU, man, they were dominant from start to finish. Uh, like I said, I think the defense started out with like 3 straight 3-and-outs to give the ball to Jaden Daniels, and they only did everything you needed to do when something like that happens. I mean, I think they scored 24 points in the first half. They didn't slow down in the second half. I mean, they poured it on State. They got rid of them cowbells early, drained that place, and what a big win for LSU to start SEC play.
and that Jaden Daniels Malik Neighbors connection there is elite. Malik Neighbors yesterday, 13 receptions, 239 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
I
Hey,
heard he joined the likes of let's see, Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson to ever do that in the first half. I think it was 180 yards and 2 tutties in the first half.
yeah, it was something like that. And then Jaden Daniels broke the LSU record for the highest completion percentage in a single game.
Mm.
He was 30 of
I
34
remember.
yesterday for
I
361
remember
yards
that
and touchdowns.
because I think he started like 12 for 12 with like a touchdown or maybe even 2 touchdowns, and I'm like, what the crap, dude? I mean,
His first incompletion was a throwaway because Mississippi State finally got pressure on him in the backfield, so he had to throw it out of bounds.
my man had 10.6 yards per pass completion. That is insane. 361, 2 tutties. What a game from him. This is going to restore a lot of, confidence, self-belief in this team. And I kid you not, it's looking like LSU Ole Miss in the West. Alabama's not looking too hot, man.
Yeah,
So,
and the other thing I really liked about LSU yesterday is their rushing attack was there. A lot of it was Jaden Daniels. He had 15 carries for 64 yards, but they rushed for 163 yards total. And I said that after the Florida State game that if they were going to get things going this year, they had to get the running game going, and that's what they did against Mississippi State.
Heck yeah. You want to talk about the next one, which was a freaking thriller?
Man, it was something else. But you know, all right. So Missouri and Kansas State is the game that we're talking about.
Yep.
I cannot figure Missouri out because last week against MTSU, they struggled. I mean, struggled in a bad way. And
Mhm.
Kansas State, this is another game where I don't think the better team won. I think Missouri, they had a game plan against against Kansas State, and they executed. I don't think Kansas State was that much better than Missouri, but I still think Kansas State overall was the better team. But man, shout out to Beavis, in that his last name, the kicker. Uh,
I think it's Mevis, maybe.
Mevis,
Yeah,
you're
Harrison Mevis. Harrison
broke,
Mevis.
he broke the SEC record for the longest field goal made in a ball game yesterday,
In
61
walk off
yards.
in
And
walk off fashion.
was it not yards to spare too? I mean, he probably could have made that from 65, could he not?
I'm not going to stretch it. He made it. Good for him. I don't know if he would have made it, man, if it was any longer. It was very close. Either way, the belief that I'll give it to Coach Drinks. He believed in his kicker to go out there after I believe he missed like a 27-yarder earlier in the game to go out there and kick a 61-yard field goal and win the game. That was pretty awesome to watch. I'll
This
say
was a
this.
crazy stat I heard in the game. So he has made, after that field goal at the end yesterday, he has made a total of 11 kicks from 50 plus yards in his career. And to start the season this year, he was 1 for 3 from inside 40 yards. So he's actually better from distance kicking field goals than he is kicking close.
He's one of those golfers that just wants to drive the ball
Yeah,
everywhere.
likes to
Like,
dish it both.
once you put a wedge in his hand, he's like, it's done. Like just give me the driver, give me a par five, and let me tee it up, dude. I like it, man. I like it, dude. No, that was crazy, but I don't know if I agree with your comment about the better team lost, technically. Kansas State's not the same team last year, and even last year they got freaking smacked by Bama in the bowl game. They lost their big time running back to the Dallas Cowboys. Name is blanking on me, but he's very short. I can't remember his name. I'm
Uh,
terrible at this. Yeah, see, now you're on the spot.
Vaughn, I think.
Yeah.
Who's Vaughn?
Deuce Vaughn. Yeah, thank you. Good job. That took away a big element, and I don't think that they don't have that production back. Kansas State, kind of like Tennessee, obviously, is very much reaping the benefits of a great season last year. And I think Missouri just exposed it. Let me say this and kind of concluding, because I didn't watch the game completely. You see my TV yesterday. I had like 4 games on at once. I love football season, man. But what a big win for the SEC.
The SEC really needed that because they have struggled this year. They struggled
And bad.
yesterday too.
Yeah, it's been
Um,
bad, but what a big win to get a top 15, especially when your team is unranked, projected to be the third or probably even fourth or fifth best team in the East. To get a big win over Kansas State, that was big, man.
yeah, one concern that I still have for Missouri, and I touched on it last week, their third down defense. Kansas State was 8 of 17 yesterday on third down, so it was slightly less than 50%, but that's almost 50% on third downs yesterday. So that
Yeah,
does concern me going forward for Missouri. But hey, credit to them. I'm happy for them. Big win yesterday at home against a Kansas State team.
I do want to give them some props because I didn't know this, but Missouri lost a 5-star wide receiver to Georgia last year, Dominic Lovett, and he's tearing it up at Georgia.
He is.
What did they do? Oh, they just replaced him with Luther Burden III, who had 2 tutties and 114 yards on 7 receptions yesterday. And then, they got a stacked receiver room. Even after losing Dominic Lovett, you got Cooper and Wees Jr., all of which had over 70 yards. I mean,
But
where
see,
did this receiver room come from, dude?
And see, I don't know if you remember, I touched on this last week too. Luther Burden had 8 of Brady Cook's 14 completions last week, and nobody else had more than 2. And I said, people are going to have to step up and help Luther Burden out so that
Yeah,
kicking or so that the receiving game it can stay on top there. And that's
yep.
exactly what happened yesterday. Like you said, Cooper and Wees Jr. They both had over 70 yards receiving, along with Luther Burden. Brady Cook threw for 356 yards
Got to
yesterday.
give him the props, man. Look, that man only had 23 completions and had 356 yards. I mean,
And
it was the big plays, man.
and he didn't have a turnover. I mean,
No, he did. He protected the ball. What a game.
yeah, he was very efficient yesterday, and he finished the game off hurt. I mean, the Kansas State pass rush was getting to him yesterday. Some,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
that was grit, man.
yeah, they only had 2 sacks, but they hit him and hit him and hit him all day, and he just gritted through it. Big props to Missouri yesterday for that win.
Not gonna lie. After watching Missouri, South Carolina, Florida, I'm not feeling too good, my guy. I'm
Don't say it.
not feeling too good, my guy. Look, let's talk about South
I'm,
Carolina.
I'm with
Look,
you on man. I don't want to put that out there.
oh, I will, dude. This team has really, really turned me a little bit. I've got to really. We've all need to realize that last year doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
But that's enough. South Carolina, Georgia, man, they really had the SEC tuned in at halftime. Let me tell you.
Man,
Um,
I can't
but
figure South Carolina out either. I mean,
no, I can. Spencer Rattler's actually decent. All right.
all right. I'm glad you pointed that out because I wanted to come on here and say this. Spencer Radler, if he was on a different team, would be a Heisman contender right now. But because he
I
is
think he should be anyways.
I agree with you. But because he is on South Carolina's team, he is not going to get that Heisman hype like he probably should be. I mean,
Yeah.
he is the South Carolina team.
Well, and I will say this, and unfortunately, the second half didn't go the way they wanted to. They couldn't get anything going. But that dude's been the most accurate passer in the nation up until this game. He went 22 of 42, a little bit less than 50%, or a little bit over. I'm sorry. But he still posted up 256 passing yards, a touchdown. But now here's the knock: 2 interceptions, one of which wasn't his fault. One of which wasn't his fault. If I remember correctly, it went off somebody's hands. So,
It did, and I
um,
really don't count the other one either because it was into the game. I really think he was trying to throw the ball away, and the Georgia defender just so happened to be there and made the.
okay.
So
I got you. I didn't catch that one because we were in the stadium. We were coming into the stadium, but they had the game on, but I didn't catch that. So if that's when that happened, I don't really blame that either because you're trying to win the damn game or get back into it. In fact, I'm going to talk about Joe Milton again. I don't care if Joe Milton throws a pick at the end of the game if he's trying to score a touchdown to get back into it. I'd rather him throw an interception and we lose rather than him run out of bounds with no time on the clock or something stupid, which he has done. But no, I agree with you. So, he had 2 interceptions, but, one was off the hands of a receiver. The other one is in desperation mode, and you're trying to do the best you can to win the game. So, no,
and
I
South Carolina, this is a knock that I do have on them,
let's
and
hear it.
I've said it all season long. You've got to have a rushing attack, and I know Georgia is a very very good team, especially on defense. But your leading rusher yesterday was Spencer Rattler, carried for 35 yards. DeCarrion Joyner was your next closest with 5 carries for 10 yards. They had 16 total carries for 53 yards yesterday, and I'm sorry, you're not going to win any ball games with a rushing attack that only has 53 yards, especially against a team like Georgia. So that's where I'm at with South Carolina is you've got to have some sort of rushing attack to be able to win these games. I mean, Spencer Rattler is doing all he can through the air. Um, I will say that the conditions were not great at that game yesterday. It was raining, so it kind of limited some things that both teams could do. But
Yeah.
I think Georgia benefited from that because that's the type of offense that they want to play. Is that
Yeah.
ground and pound? They want to just knock your teeth in the entire game, and that second half is where we finally saw it happen.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a new week, same story with South Carolina, and the fact that they can't get a rushing game going, and it's literally all in the hands of Spencer Rattler. Um, I will say this: South Carolina lost their best receiver once again, really early in the game with Wells Jr. going out. That's unfortunate because, I mean, dude had 2 catches, 32 yards, a touchdown, and I think that was all in the first drive of the game.
I mean,
And
Xavier Leggett, he is insane.
well, I mean, he had to be. He had to step up. Like he had to take over at that point. I mean, I can't remember his first name, but Blake. He kind of came on. He had 17 yards per reception, 86 yards, 5 receptions. Had that one long ball for 41 yards. Look, I'll tell you right now, if Tennessee played South Carolina tomorrow, I'm not picking Tennessee.
I'm kind of there with you. I,
I'm not.
Tennessee's got to show me something, and right now they're not showing anybody anything.
Nope, not at all. But what about Georgia? Let's talk about Georgia. They are the team that won. They were stagnant at halftime, 14-3 in their own place. I mean, what as a Georgia fan, you had to know they were going to post a comeback, right? I mean, and that's exactly what they did.
They did, and my thing about Georgia is they're exactly what I thought they were. They're very good on defense. They've got a good rushing attack. I'm not sure you say his first name. Is it Dewan Edwards, the running back? He was solid all day. Then you've got Kendall Milton that does really good too. Dylan Bell, they come in. They just want to run the ball, and all Carson Beck has to do is just take care of the ball. I mean, he was 27 of 35 yesterday, which is insane. I mean, that's really good stats. 269 yards, did not have a touchdown, but did not throw a pick. So Georgia is exactly what I thought they would be. Just they're gonna end up beating you. They might start off slow, but they also
I don't see this team. I don't see I don't see this team being like that team that's just going to put 40 points on you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they're the team that's going to win by 2 or 3 touchdowns, but they're going to beat you like 27-14 every week or 35 to 7 or 10. It's not going to be a blowout. If that, well, I mean, I guess that is a blowout, but you know what I'm saying. Like I just don't feel like they're explosive enough. But they
absolutely.
are so physical. They are so physical. Like I don't know, just the offensive line, the running back room, they're deep. So Carson Beck, like you said, I mean, it's really just management at that point. Don't screw it up and dink and dunk and let your running backs go to work.
But I will say this on that same note: Georgia is very beatable,
I
and
think
it's
they are,
good.
but by who? Because the biggest opponent on their schedule is flopping. And I mean, is it Ole Miss? Ole Miss is their biggest opponent.
I don't think it's going to be in the regular season. Although right now it's going to be Ole Miss is the toughest opponent.
I agree.
What I
But
will
I agree with you. Right now, they don't really look like the number one team in the nation. But not many teams, this year are looking like that, other than Texas,
maybe. Oh,
Michigan.
what I was getting. Well, Michigan hadn't played anybody yet.
I
Oh,
agree.
but what I was getting at was, for instance, we'll take the Ohio State game from last year. Georgia is not going to win a game like that this year with that team.
Mm-mm.
I,
So you
they're
need
not
to.
going to they're not going to win that back and forth, run up the score type game. It's going to have to be a low scoring game
Yeah,
for them to be able to win it.
I agree because I haven't seen now. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but I just haven't seen Carson Beck take over a game. I don't know if he can. So, um, no, congratulations. Hats off to Georgia for yet another win in Sanford Stadium. I think they're like 20 in a row there now. South Carolina gave them a fight, man. That's all you could do. As much as I hate Beamer ball, he went in there and they were not scared. I mean, they came out punching in the first half, just couldn't get it together. Halftime adjustments cost them. So, but big win for Georgia there. Definitely in control of the East so far through 1 week. Let's talk about a team that also struggled, but luckily they struggled to a lesser opponent, and that is Alabama. The Crimson Tide visited USF. Alex Golish, by the way, is the head coach at USF. We talked about that last week. And pulled out a gritty, gutsy, ugly as crap can be win by the score of 17-3.
And
Initial thoughts.
we want to talk about bad conditions down there on the field.
Oh, that's
They
terrible.
they had to delay the game because of the weather that came through at one point.
No excuses.
I agree, because that's the kind of game that Alabama should do well at. Is that the weather's bad, they're going to run the ball anyway.
I
I
want to say something right now.
All right.
I feel like I was right. Jalen Milroe is the best quarterback in that room, and they should have never changed. You changed a quarterback based off his performance against probably the best team in the country aside from Georgia right now, and look at what you got.
Yeah, which I'll admit, I didn't watch this game the way that I should have, but it was because
Dude, nobody should have watched this game. Nobody should have had any interest in this game.
On YouTube, they started going to some sort of alternate broadcast where they weren't even showing the play. It was like some sort of sky cam type thing, and I just got frustrated with it and cut it off. But
I got you.
I want to give Alex Golish credit.
Hey,
He has got something cooking down there in South Florida. Of course, it wasn't.
how much
It, it
hang
wasn't.
on. How much are you missing him right now? Think about it. Think long and hard about it. How much are you missing him right now?
Here's the thing, though: is it the coaching part of it, or is it the quarterback?
I think it's the coaching part of it, having him up in the box, seeing the defense. I miss him really bad. I think a lot of Tennessee fans realize that, okay, maybe it's Heupel's offense, but maybe Alex Golish was making the calls on the play calling side of it. But anyways, proceed.
I'm not gonna disagree with you.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I just wanted to.
I think Alex Golish has got something cooking down there in South Florida, and I think it's gonna take him a year or two. But he also plays in what, the American?
Yeah, I don't.
They're in the American Conference.
Yeah,
I,
I know they're not powerful.
I think that they're gonna have a decent year in the American Conference. It's just you go up against an SEC team and one that's normally in the top of the SEC every year, and you're gonna struggle. But man, he made it a game. That team made it a really, really close game, and
Yeah.
I think you're right with Jalen Milroe is the guy for Alabama, but the little bit that I saw of Ty Simpson, I think he's number 2 over Tyler Buckner.
I mean, maybe the number 2, but at the end of the day, it's Jalen Milroe's team.
I agree.
I don't even know why this was such a hard decision during the offseason. It was clear as day it was Jalen Milroe's team.
I just don't feel confident with any of them right now after what I have seen this season.
And that's why Nick Saban didn't make a decision. I mean,
I feel most confident with Jalen Milroe. Now, I'll also say this, getting off the quarterbacks. All right, the running game is still an Alabama running game. It's really good, but man, there's some coaching points in there too that I'm kind of questioning. Like Kool-Aid McKinstry, he's he is a veteran player that on a punt return yesterday, the ball hit the ground, it was bouncing, and he tried to dive in and get it. I mean, that's coaching right there. You
know what's crazy is they made I was gonna say in back-to-back seasons they have like a knucklehead punt mishap, whatever you want. Literally against Tennessee, they had one of those guys that tried to scoop it and get some cheap yards, and it literally gave Tennessee the ball right back. And then you would think you would never see that issue again, and not even really a full season later, because that was probably week 6 last year. You're in week 3 this year, and you see the exact same thing. Not the exact same thing, but the same thing happen on special teams. That's a head scratcher. I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, really couldn't learn a whole lot from yesterday. We learned a lot last week from the Texas game, and we're going to learn a lot this week. They play against Ole Miss. Of course, we'll get to get to that game later. But I mean, let's go ahead and move on to the next one because I really don't have anything else about that game because I didn't get to watch a whole lot of it. I got
About
frustrated.
the rushing game, they had no choice than to run the ball.
Exactly.
And I don't feel like they did that well. It's just statistically, it's like, okay, you had a 129-yard rusher, and that's good. Well, no, it was pouring freaking rain. All you could do is run the ball. And they did not get a great push against USF. So they got some concerns, but Nick Saban's the GOAT, and he's the GOAT until he says he's not the GOAT. If there's a quarter or if there's a coach that can fix things in a hurry, I believe it's him. So
Absolutely. I'm right there with you.
but you got Texas A&M. They got an easy win over UL Monroe. Don't want to spend a lot of time over this. They got a get right game, and that's exactly what they did.
That's exactly right. All I've got on this one is they have all the pieces if they can just put it together against a good team. I mean,
Well,
that's all there is to it.
man, the pieces have always been there though. It's about the coaching, the play calling. They've got like a top 4 or top 5 roster in all of college football. The pieces have always been there. It's just about Jimbo and what's that new no. What's that new coach? The offense coordinator?
Bobby Petrino.
Bobby Petrino from Louisville, right?
Yes. He was
Yeah,
at
so
Arkansas at the time.
that's right. But Auburn, another Alabama team that got a pretty good, I would say, get right game, but they beat Arizona last week and they handled business against Sanford this week, 45-13. Once again, can't really take too much from this, but Peyton Thorne looked pretty good.
Peyton Thorne looked really good. Matter of fact, looking at the box score because I didn't really watch a lot of this game either. But passing
Yeah,
the ball, Peyton Thorne, 24 of 32, 282 yards, a touchdown. He did throw 2 interceptions. Rushing the ball, Peyton Thorne, 11 carries, 123 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he did it both ways in that game. The one
I was talking about running the ball. I, I was talking about running the ball. Yeah, totally. I'm joking.
um,
We can leave behind the 2 interceptions, okay?
Yeah, that's the one thing that concerns me about this Auburn team going forward is some of the turnovers because they did turn the ball over quite a bit against Cal. They turned the ball over twice yesterday against Samford.
Yep.
Sorry, they turned the ball over 4 times yesterday because they also had 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
So that they've got some concerns when it comes to holding on to the ball. Um, they'll have a big test this week. We'll get to that in a little bit. But that's all I've got on Auburn. They did, like you said, they got another get right game, even though they did win last week against California. But they were able to clean some things up this week. Although 4 turnovers didn't really clean it up too good.
That's right. You want to talk about the next one that freaking broke my heart, dude?
All right, the next one is little brother Vandy.
It was
Uh,
not a good day for Tennessee, man. Like the whole state of Tennessee, just not a good day.
not at all. I watched the first half of this game and then I skipped ahead to the end because I wanted to see how the game ended. It was 10:30 last night. I had a game on the TV and a game on my laptop, just kind of uh, skipping through all the breaks and just trying to watch the plays, kind of get some stuff. And I was starting to get tired, so I just wanted to see how it ended. But um, Vanderbilt has got a decent offense, man. They've got a bunch of pieces, but they are so mistake prone. I mean, they had 5 fumbles yesterday. They did recover 2 of them, but 5 fumbles in
You
that.
can't put the ball on the ground, dude. Not no. Ball protection, high and tight, man. You can't put the ball on the ground.
And then AJ Swan also threw a pick, and also I guess he came back in there at the end of the game, but he also had a stretch where he was out. Ken Seals had to come into the game for AJ Swan, but Vanderbilt they've got the pieces on offense, but their defense concerns me. They're just that it's not that they're not disciplined; they're just not very good on defense.
Well, to your point about the offense against UNLV, and you don't have a rushing attack. That's quite concerning. Your highest rusher had 13 attempts for 43 yards, and guess who your second best guy was?
AJ
The
Swan,
quarterback. And, he had 12 attempts for 22 yards. I'm sure sack yardage is included if he got sacked. I don't see that stat. But, dude, that is so unacceptable. I mean, you become one dimensional. And AJ Swan had a day, really. 296 yards on 16 completions, 3 tutties and an interception. Turnovers is the killer here in this game. This is one of those games again where I don't feel like the better team won. But good teams don't commit turnovers, and that's exactly what Vanderbilt did. That this one hurt. I predicted Vanderbilt to go 4-0 to start the season, and I really feel like, and I know the guys at Vanderbilt feel like they absolutely could have, and probably even should have went 4-0 to start this season.
Yeah, I wasn't quite as high as you. I said 3-1 to start the season because I had them losing to Wake Forest, but I absolutely had them winning this game, and they had every opportunity in the world to do so. Um, it's just some sloppy football from Vanderbilt is what it comes down to.
That's right.
Which UNLV wasn't clean either. I mean, they had 2 fumbles yesterday, and they also threw interceptions. So between the 2 teams, you had 8 total, 8 total turnovers. So
Mm.
it wasn't pretty, but Vanderbilt, it could be a long year for them if they don't get some things cleaned up on the defensive end, especially, and then clean up some of these turnovers.
Mm-hmm. BYU gets the win over Arkansas. This one really hurts because
We both picked Arkansas in this game, but you know, I'm not
I
really
said it
surprised.
last week. Brigham Young could probably pull the upset because that's just the team they are, man. I mean, they did it. I did not realize that Rocket Sanders was going to be out at the time that we recorded our podcast last week.
And let me tell you, they are missing Rocket Sanders.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I told you that KJ Jefferson can't do this alone. He's got to have Rocket Sanders.
And to that point there, KJ Jefferson is not getting a lot of help from his offensive line either. He was getting hit all night long. BYU ended up with 4 sacks, but the amount of times that KJ Jefferson was hit after throwing, not to
Yeah.
mention the amount of times that he would take off running. I mean, he was on his back the entire night. And if they don't help him out this year, he's not going to make it through the year. He's already had injury problems in college. So they've got to fix something in Arkansas.
Let me say this. I don't know how this happens. How does a team score 38 and they don't have over 200 yards passing? They don't have over 100 yards rushing. They literally have less than 300 yards of total offense.
They had just over 200 yards. It was 204 yards. The backup came in and threw 1 pass for 37 yards.
You're right. My math is terrible. I was sitting there adding it up. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, so either way, it's less than 300 total yards of offense.
Well,
Where does the points come from, dude? Like, because defensively, that I'm okay with that. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way it happened. Did they get some turnovers? I mean, I see that KJ Jefferson did go for 1 for 1, so he did have an interception. Did they put the ball on the ground? Because I didn't watch this game. I mean, this is
yes, 2. No. Arkansas had 1 fumble, so they had 2
3
total.
turnovers.
Yeah, two total turnovers for Arkansas.
I bet you BYU got 14 points off those turnovers.
They
And,
probably did.
and that is a killer.
I was trying to think if they had a kick return or a punt return, but no, it was Arkansas that had the punt return. I didn't watch this full game either because it was late. I caught the end of it and then watched the first half this morning of the game, so I hadn't fully watched the second half. So I'm kind of stumped like you are at how they scored 38 points, but either way, BYU did not look bad yesterday.
Not at all.
Arkansas really didn't either, other than like I said, the offensive line.
Yeah. That's what I was going to knock their defense, but their defense held them to under 300 yards. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I encourage an Arkansas fan that watched that reach out to me on TikTok. But Arkansas fans were freaking rude to my prediction of them going 7-5 because they just thought they were going to win the West this year. kind of like us. I hope you like the reality check. We all got some flaws that we need to fix, and hopefully that y'all can get healthy and get a get right game coming up. We'll talk about it here in a little bit, but let's talk about old Devin Leary. Let's talk about Kentucky. Pretty easy win against Akron, 35-3. I
I
don't
want to
even have any notes on this game. I was going to say, I don't have notes on this game. Kentucky, we said it, they don't play anybody until week 5 when they play Florida. And Florida is now kind of an intriguing game. So, congratulations to the Wildcats. You're 3-0. Hopefully you get the win next week. But even the AP doesn't respect the games that they're playing because you would think they'd be ranked at 3-0. But
the two notes that I have on this game here is first off, Kentucky took care of business, which is something we couldn't really say about the first two games because they struggled in those first two games. It was closer ball games than they should have been, but so they took care of business yesterday. But Devin Leary is also starting to get comfortable in this Kentucky offense. He went 16 to
he went
25
for,
yesterday, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
you think that's comfortable?
I compared to what it has been, I think he is getting comfortable.
I get it. I mean, just against Akron, and you only score 14 in the first half. I mean, you scored 21 in the second half. I just, I didn't know if, he did throw a lot. In fact, I'm kind of wondering why Kentucky threw so much against Akron. But maybe it is just to get him comfortable. I don't know.
I think that's a lot of what it could be, and maybe it's just who Kentucky is because they've never been a high scoring offense. They've been a team kind of like Alabama, where they want to try to ram it down your throat. Or sorry, Georgia, not Alabama. Which I mean, Alabama used to be. They just
Yeah,
want they just want to punch you in the mouth, run it down your throat the whole time. Kentucky just isn't as successful as those two because they don't have the resources. They don't have all the things that they need to be able to be successful like
right,
Georgia and Alabama are.
right. I got you. Yeah, they had 25 pass attempts. I think they had somewhere around 20 rush attempts, actually a little bit less than that. So a little bit more pass than rush, but overall not crazy. I think from a game like this, you would expect to be a lot of I don't know. I thought Tennessee usually, now this was last year. That's what I'm going to judge it off of because this year it's crazy. But against a lesser opponent, you'd be up by so much. You would think you would try to run the ball and get that rushing game going, which they didn't have a bad day on the ground. They had a guy go for 7 attempts. He had 10 yards per carry, 72 yards a tutty. He had that's a little skewed because he had a 55-yard run. So, and then the second guy who had 58 yards had a 42-yard run. So they had like two really big runs, but other than that, I guess there was no rushing attack. I don't know. But either way, Kentucky got the win, and we're going to move on to what I truly think may be the best team in the West, if it's not LSU.
I was gonna say I think that Ole Miss might be the best team in the West, just because uh, LSU looked really good yesterday, but they still have to prove it to me. Uh,
Yep.
but Ole Miss on offense is a well-oiled machine. I mean they pretty much yesterday did whatever they wanted to against, I said it last week, the Georgia JV team. Now they'll play the
Yep.
varsity later this year, but Jackson Dart, man. I had an Ole Miss fan comment on the TikTok video that I made for my season prediction earlier this year. He said Jackson Dart is the worst quarterback for Ole Miss that I can remember in my life, and I think he was like 50 something. I know he was well older than I am, and I said, man, Jackson Dart last year, just look at his stats. He was very efficient. And he came back and he said, Spencer Sanders should be the starter. And I said, he also said that he hated Lane Kiffin. He said Lane Kiffin is not a good head coach. And until he came back
He
to
was on to something there.
until he came back to Ole Miss, I would agree with him. But
Yeah.
after he went through the quote Alabama or the Nick Saban rehabilitation program,
Yep.
Um, Lane Kiffin was not a good head coach, but he did a lot of growing up as the offensive coordinator at Alabama. And after he went to FAU and had success there, came to Ole Miss, I think he is a good head coach. Now, he doesn't know a lot on the defensive side of the ball compared to what he knows on the offensive side, but he is a good head coach now. And honestly, if we hadn't got Heupel, as a Tennessee fan, I shouldn't say this, but I would have taken Lane Kiffin back if we.
No, that's out of
We,
bounds.
we won't touch that one anymore today.
No, no, not at all.
But Lane
Um,
Kiffin would not be starting Jackson Dart if he didn't think that he was the best option, and I think that he proved it yesterday. He was 10 of 18 passing, 251 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions, and on the ground, 14 carries, 136 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, dude was efficient. And
well,
no turnovers whatsoever yesterday for Ole Miss. No interceptions, no fumbles, nothing.
yeah. I mean, Jackson Dart also did it on the ground. He had man, dude, he almost 400 yards of offense came from Jackson Dart alone, between 251 through the air, 136 on the ground. He had 3 total tutties. Man was averaging. I mean, he only completed 10 passes yesterday for 13.9 per pass, but he ran the ball 14 times for 9.7. I mean, dude was he was on one. It was very complimentary between running and passing. Opened up Georgia Tech just couldn't stop it. But let me say this: Jackson Dart took that starting job. That man's confidence is through the roof right now.
Absolutely. We said it at the beginning of the year, Spencer Sanders, I think, is a better passer overall, but Jackson Dart just runs this offense better.
Runs the offense better, and at this, I wish we had a quarterback that could run an offense really good.
The one thing that concerns me for Ole Miss going forward is they gave up almost 500 yards of total offense yesterday. 300,
Yeah.
307 passing yards for Haynes King yesterday, who came from Texas A&M. And
Yeah.
Georgia Tech also had 167 yards rushing. So that is very concerning. But, hey, you give up almost 500 yards and you only give up 23 points. Say what you want. They got the stops when they needed it.
Let me say this. Other than maybe LSU, I am okay that their defense is bad because I think they can win in a shootout regardless.
I agree.
Tennessee last year, I was kind of the same way. Like, I was okay that the defense was down because I truly felt like our offense was unstoppable. Georgia stopped it. Congratulations. South Carolina didn't really stop it. We just couldn't stop them. So, at the end of the day, Ole Miss, you keep doing your thing. Maybe you try to improve on defense, do whatever you can, but as long as Jackson Dart is rolling, I think it's going to be a good week for you next week.
I agree. So that takes us to the end of the reviews for the games last week. Now we're going to move ahead and make our week 4 predictions.
Let's talk about it.
Right now, our predictions: Skylar is ahead by 2 games. He is
What?
35, he is 35-9 this year, and the losses do not count. This is just us putting it down as to the games that we missed. I am 33-6, so I've actually got a better record, but because of the bonus points that Skylar got in week 1, he is ahead by 2 games.
Yes, sir.
So, first game that we're looking at this weekend, we have Auburn at Texas A&M. This is at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. Skylar, who you got?
This is going to be a good week for me, all right, because I finally figured out what is going on in college football. And that is, I'm not sure what's going on in college football. Okay?
Exactly. Because, all right, how many people did you hear this past week say, man, I don't even know if I'll watch college football this week. It is such a bad slate of games. And how many close games was there?
Not even that, dude. It's just like for some reason this year it feels like anybody can truly beat anybody.
Absolutely.
For so long in college football, you haven't had that. And this year, and I don't even know if it's really that the team is that good. It's more like the better team's just really underperforming across the board. I don't think the transfer portal obviously is helping equal out some of the teams, but I truly feel like just some of your better teams that you expected to be really good, including our Volunteers, are just very like underwhelming so far to begin the season. So, but Auburn, Texas A&M, A&M, we mentioned it, has the pieces, but do they have the coaching? And you mentioned about who we would get if we didn't have Heupel. I wanted Hugh Freeze so bad it hurt. Like I knew that man could beat Nick Saban, and if he can beat Nick Saban, he can beat anybody. And by golly, this week you give me Auburn over A&M. Let's ride it, dude. Freeze warning in College Station. 12th man's going to be quieted this week.
I can see it happening, but I'm going to take Texas A&M because
thank God, give me that free. That's another point for me.
I just don't feel like Hugh Freeze is quite there yet. I think that Texas A&M, even though they have these questions that we keep talking about week in and week out, I think they just have a little bit better. They got a little bit more of an edge over Auburn right now. I think Auburn's still got some things to figure out, and I think A&M will feast on some turnovers that Auburn has because they need to clean that up.
I think Jimbo gets fired this weekend.
This weekend, so you don't think it's going to happen in Knoxville?
No, that was on the record, but I was totally joking. But
that's going to be the extension weekend, right?
I think it'll be a fun game, and I will be tuned into that one at 12:00. So next up, we got a very boring matchup, but one that could be very, very tight, and that is Kentucky versus Vanderbilt in Nashville at 12 p.m. Eastern Time on the SEC Network.
I was so ready to come in here today.
Oh, pick Vanderbilt. Do it.
I was so ready to come in here today and pick Vanderbilt at home against Kentucky. And if I did, this was going to be my upset pick of the week.
With the Cranes holding the billboard, baby.
I'm curious as to how much they've actually gotten done on that stadium since they played. But after what I saw from Vanderbilt yesterday, after what I've seen so far this season from Vanderbilt, I don't trust their defense enough to stop the Kentucky attack. So I'm going to go with the Wildcats. I don't think Kentucky covers the 13.5, though. I think it's a touchdown game.
You think it's an ugly game, kind of like less than 30 points, both teams, kind of like a 27-20 game?
Absolutely. That's about the score prediction I was going to say.
I got you. Well, let me say this. Don't underestimate A.J. Swan. In fact, this year, passing the ball, I don't know. They're kind of even at quarterback this year, I think. Right now, Devin Leary hasn't really shown me that factor, that everybody was talking about in the offseason. So, at the end of the day, I'm going to agree with you. But this season, sorry about the static. This season, give me Kentucky. But if Vanderbilt wins, just know it's going to be that type of year.
Absolutely. And one last thing on this game, to further our point is when it comes to sports, defense is what ends up winning, and that's why I'm taking Kentucky because they've got the better defense over Vanderbilt.
That's right. I agree with that. We got a big one. You want to talk about it? You want to introduce it?
Talk about it, and I think both of us are going to have the same team, but it's not the team that people are going to expect.
That's right.
At Alabama in Tuscaloosa, this is the 3:30 game on CBS. Give me Ole Miss and Jackson Dart over Alabama this week.
Damn, you ain't even going to talk about it? You going to disrespect the Bama fans like that? What the hell? Jeez, you just going straight to the pick, huh? Like, hey, it's in Tuscaloosa. Bama doesn't lose there, but he might do it twice in a matter of 2 weeks. Let's just go straight for the kill shot. Like, no, look, here, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question on air.
Okay.
Because we didn't discuss this. And I don't even know how I feel about it. So, like, you can give me an honest answer. Can I choose a team to win as far as the SEC records? But then if I choose an upset pick of the week, can I choose the other team that kind of contradicts who I think is going to win?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can do that.
I forget what game it was now. I think it might have been BYU. Last week I was going to pick BYU as my upset pick, but then choose Arkansas to actually win the game just so I cover my bases on both sides. But I changed my mind last minute.
Man, that's a cheating son of a gun move right there. That's a cheating move. But you know what? I'm going to do it. You give me the damn Tide, son, because they are not going to look bad this week because guess who's going to start at quarterback? The guy that I believed in. Give me Milroe. Give me Bama by 10 over Ole Miss, and it might be a shootout, but I am going to pick Ole Miss to be my upset pick.
I'm going to give my reasoning on why I think Ole Miss will win the game, though, and it's the same thing that I said in my preseason predictions for Alabama.
Yeah.
I think that Ole Miss wins this game because of better quarterback play. I
Okay.
trust Dart more than I do Milroe right now. Although, like we said, Milroe is the guy for Alabama, but there's so many questions for Milroe right now. I trust Jackson Dart a little bit more, so that's why I'm taking the Rebels in Tuscaloosa.
And to your point, and you mentioned it already, I just trust Bama's defense. I trust Bama's defense over Ole Miss's defense. I know I said Ole Miss can beat anybody in a shootout. This may not be a shootout. So give me Bama.
This is one of those games we don't know what's going to happen. It could be a
We
shootout.
don't.
It could be a close game. So,
If Lane Kiffin says get your popcorn ready, it's over. Just hand it over to Bama. Like,
if he says that, can I change my pick before the game starts?
no, not at all. But let me say this because it really irked me, man. I've been so positive. I've been trying to do my best. I got a lot of family that's Bama fans, right? And they lost against Texas, and I could have messaged every single one of them. I could have messaged all my friends and been like, "You lost to Texas, horns up!" Like I could have really shoved it in their face. I could have done that for the last, anytime they lost, I could have done it. But being the Tennessee fan that I am, and I'm not a douchebag, I tried to see the positive in it. Like, hey, Texas may be that legit. Like, knowing Bama and their championship runs, they tend to lose one that maybe they shouldn't have, but that kind of gets them right. I think they could have that type of effect. Now, I know they looked really bad last week, but I'm throwing it in the trash because they didn't play my guy in Jalen Milroe. I think he was done wrong. I think he got judged on a game against a really good team. And I don't know. I really believe in Jalen Milroe in the running game. I think he's a great passer when he's not making dumb decisions. But I had a lot of people from the Bama fan base alone message me when we lost to Florida, and it really pissed me off. But here I am, rooting for Bama once again, even though y'all, so just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Give me the Tide. They're going to sneak back up in the top 10 after this week. It's going to be a big win. But Lane Kiffin can't beat his daddy. Keep that in mind, all right?
I'll keep it in mind. But we also said that no former Saban assistant would ever beat Saban, and look what's happening now. That left and right.
Yeah, but Stark wasn't Nick's son, okay?
That's true.
Lane Kiffin is Nick's son, okay? We got UTSA coming into town, Knoxville, Tennessee. I will be there at this game, so once again, I'm probably not going to get to catch a lot of games, but it is 4:00 Eastern on the SEC Network. Give me the damn Vols, bro. I ain't even gonna make it worth it. Look, god dang it. Give me the Vols, bro. I'm still a fan. All right. I'm still a fan. I wanted to pick UTSA for my upset pick of the week because I was that freaking mad. But give me the Vols. If we don't score 50 in this game, I am going to lose my crap, and Nico better be the starter for the rest of the
year. Tennessee wins this game. And I had a conversation with my buddy Adam this morning, talking about Milton, talking about Nico. He said, do we still ride Milton right now? And I said, yes, and I'll tell you why. Nico is not ready yet. Milton is still the guy. And, I said the same thing to him, like I said earlier on the podcast. Milton did not make a ton of bad decisions yesterday. Yes, there's still a lot of stuff that is on him as far as this past game. But I will say, if you were to decide to change quarterbacks, this is the week to do it before you play against South Carolina, because you have UTSA, South Carolina, then you go into a bye week before you play Texas A&M, Alabama. You go on that brutal stretch right there. So if you were to go into a quarterback transition, this is the week to do it. But I'm not there yet. I still say stick with Milton, stick with your guns. But if it doesn't look good against UTSA, you got to start thinking. You got to start thinking something else.
Can I agree and disagree with you on this one?
Absolutely.
I'm going to agree with you on the fact that you play Milton because you feel like he may not have done that much wrong. and that's fair. Or no, you play Milton because that is completely wrong because I think he's done a lot wrong. You play Milton because you don't feel like Nico is ready, but I so disagree. That's a 5-star quarterback coming in. They're ready. All right. You don't get an $8 million NIL evaluation if you're not ready to play with the big boys immediately. And that man got to practice last year during the bowl games. He got all of spring, all of summer, and all of fall camp. If our coaching was willing to do so, I think he's ready. I think that's a little misleading. But you start Milton because you want him to be the guy. I mean, we talked about this. He's the 5th year super senior, 6th year probably. He's 23 years old. He's supposed to be the guy. He's supposed to be the leader of this team. But the biggest thing that scares me is the off script plays when the offensive line can't hold up the pocket or the read's not there. Does he panic and throw the ball away? Does he take the sack, or can he make something happen? And I'm not seeing him make something happen. All the runs that he does, literally like 9 out of 10 runs that he does, it's a called run.
Quarterback draw.
Exactly, it is a called run. But either way, don't want to spend too much time on this. I'm still pissed from yesterday, but give me the Vols. I'm going to be in Neyland. If I don't sing Rocky Top 17,000 times tomorrow, I'm going to be Saturday. I'm going to be heated. But let's go on and talk about the team who was victorious against the Vols, and that's the Florida Gators, who get a very nice, game against Charlotte to kind of temper the storm and whatnot. Because if they were playing another big game this week, I don't know if they could carry it because that was a lot of emotions over that win. So, but they play Charlotte 7:00 SEC Network Plus. Give me the Gators, man. They look pretty good, and it's Charlotte. So
yeah, Gators are going to win this week, and they're going to work on some things that they might not have done well against Tennessee, which they did a lot of things right. So I mean, basically just kind of tuning some things up before they get back into SEC play. They play Kentucky next week, so trying to tune some things up before they get to that one. So give me the Gators as well. Next game on the schedule, we have Arkansas at LSU. That game is also at 7:00 Eastern. This one on ESPN. Skylar, what you got?
So in the 2023 college football season, Arkansas should win this game. But give me the damn Tigers, dude. Let's go. Go Tigers.
Give me LSU as well. I think they win the game either way, but I don't know how serious this Rocket Sanders knee injury is. I don't know how long he's going to be out. But give me LSU. I think that I truly think that Florida State game at the beginning of the season was the wake up call that they needed. I think they're going to be a buzzsaw through the rest of the year. They could slip up somewhere like they did last year, but give me LSU and give me LSU big in this game.
Yeah, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but I think even with Rocket Sanders in this game, LSU is just overall probably the better team. I hate to say it like that. I want Arkansas to be back probably more than anybody because I don't remember this, but I know Arkansas and Tennessee used to be kind of like the 1-2 in the SEC, and I would love to see that again, but it's not going to happen. Like I said, in 2023 though, this could absolutely happen, and I will not be shocked. I'm going on record to say this right now: Arkansas can absolutely pull this win for solely the fact that I'm not sure what's going on this college football season. But I think the Tigers are going to get this win. I think it's going to kind of be a clear three team race in the SEC West between Ole Miss, Alabama, LSU. But enough about that. Let's go on to a very easy pick in UAB in Georgia. It's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, ESPN2. Give me the third string Georgia Dogs.
I do have a question. Why is this game on ESPN2? Why are they putting a massacre on?
Because they didn't get a night game last year, so they're like buttering their biscuits this year, dude. They're giving them all the prime times.
I got you.
Hell, CBS ain't even supposed to be telecasting SEC games last time and they showed up for the Georgia South Carolina game.
Well, this is the last year of CBS for the SEC on CBS. So
CBS was already on Big Ten though. That's crazy. That's weird. It's like a transition year, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is.
Because they did the Big Ten last week. I remember that.
And
Because
actually, this weekend after the Ole Miss Alabama game, there's a Big Ten game at night. I forgot which one it is, but they're doing a Big Ten game at 7
ain't that
Eastern.
like extremely rare? Yeah.
There's only a few times a year that CBS does 2 games in one day, and
Yeah,
this
they
is
do.
one of them.
Yep. I got you. But easy dub.
Yeah, give me the Bulldogs. UAB is struggling some this year. They got new coach. Was it Trent Dilfer out of Lipscomb in Nashville? I think so.
I'm not too
They're,
confident. I don't
yeah, they're struggling some this year. Got beat pretty bad yesterday. I forgot who they played, but give me the Bulldogs. This next game is very, very intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about putting it as my upset pick.
What's the line on it?
It is 6.5. Missouri is favored. This is actually
Only
a neutral site game.
Only 6.5. Yeah, they're playing it in Little Rock. No,
St. Louis.
St. Louis. Thank you.
Yeah.
So
Memphis at Missouri. Missouri is going to be the home team, although, like we just said, it is a neutral site game in St. Louis.
who you going with? No. Who you going with? You want me to take the pressure off of you? You want me to take the pressure off of you? Give me the Memphis Tigers. Their offense is explosive. They're averaging 40 points a game, and they're only allowing 13.7 points a game. Albeit, I know they ain't played nobody. I get it, but Missouri is so like on and off. I mean, think about what they did last week against MTSU, and I think Memphis is slightly better than MTSU. So,
I'm with you there, but at the same time, I doubted Missouri so much last week against Kansas State. I had Kansas State winning by 2 touchdowns. I really did.
Yeah, you were a little bit over the top of that one.
Yeah, I had Kansas State by 2 touchdowns. Missouri proved me wrong. Give me Missouri. I'll take Missouri. This is going to be a make it or break it week for one of us this week because I loved it. I love that we're not just agreeing on everything.
Well, look, in a normal season, I would pick Missouri because they should win this game. But this is 2023 college football, okay? Nothing makes sense. I'm not even going to try to act like I know football anymore. I'm just going to pick games based off their like logo or something. I don't know. I think it's a good idea.
Honestly, that might be better.
Let's move on to the last kind of and again, sorry about the static. Let's talk about the last game of the SEC slate, and that is a intriguing one in Mississippi State Bulldogs and South Carolina Gamecocks. This is at 7:30 Eastern, SEC Network. I honestly think this may be yet again another rough ride for the Mississippi State Bulldogs, and give me the Gamecocks by 2 touchdowns.
Give me South Carolina, but I'm not going to take the 2 touchdowns. I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it close.
Bro, LSU only got 9 points. Or no, they only got 9 points against LSU, and look at what happened. Dude, I'm telling you, it's going to be 2 touchdowns.
I think that Mississippi State will look better than they did against LSU because LSU was just stellar on defense and just completely shut down and frustrated Will Rogers and a Mississippi State offense.
Yeah.
I think that
you're talking about a South Carolina defense, though, that held Georgia to 3 points at their place.
I agree with you on that. But
this is Columbia, Missouri at night, dude. Remember.
I still think that I'm still taking South Carolina either way. So
okay, just not the 2 touchdowns.
No, I don't think it'll be 2 touchdowns. I think Mississippi State figured some things out this week, and they got that they got that hard game that one that was really going to test them out of the way against LSU. So I think they're going to figure a few things out this week at practice. So give me South Carolina to win. I'm not sure what the line is in this game, but I still think Mississippi State is going to keep it within 2 touchdowns.
All right, man, that wraps up our SEC predictions. Let's get on to my favorite part of the show, brought to you by a sponsor who has not yet gave us any money. But what I will do is I'm going to shout out my work just slightly. I didn't tell you I'm going to do this, but Restoration One in Knoxville, man, they allow me to do what I love to do. They support me. They pay for my tickets to go to these games. It's a family-ran business out here in East Tennessee. and we serve in the local communities throughout the chambers. It's a really good deal, but that's who I work for. But we are ready for the upset pick of the week. This is not SEC exclusive. You can pick any game, and any team that is favored by 9 points or less will get you 3 bonus points accounted to the wins in your record. Anything 10 and above will get you 5 bonus points.
And if you lose a game, it does not count against you.
Yeah, we don't worry about losses around here. We just hear about the wins. Let me say this. I'll go ahead and get my pick. Because of this season, I really, really like the Baylor over Texas pick.
Oh, you're changing it.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I'm saying I really thought about it, and I want to go on record because if Baylor beats Texas this week, I want to be the first one to say it. Now, Texas is a good team. It's not really that I doubt Texas. It's they did kind of struggle this week though. They came along in the fourth quarter, but they struggled against Wyoming, man. But I am going to pick Ole Miss over Bama as my upset pick of the week. I realize I think the line's only 6.5, which is kind of low, but especially for that to be in Tuscaloosa, I'm really surprised by that. Because that means honestly they're probably only thinking that these teams are only 3.5 points difference, but you get those 3 points for being at home. So I'm gonna take Ole Miss over Bama as my upset pick of the week. I do feel confident in Bama to win the game, but I kind of want the bonus points. So if Ole Miss wins, I'm okay with it. And we're gonna see one thing. We are gonna see one clarity on who's gonna take the win or the lead in our little series that we got going on. We're gonna find out who the real contenders and who the real pretenders are in the SEC this week. We kind of found out that Tennessee's a pretender. Okay, unfortunately. Now it is only one loss, and they can turn it around. I'm just not that confident yet. But we're gonna really find out between Ole Miss, Alabama, Arkansas, LSU, Kentucky. Are they going to take a stride? Now they play Vanderbilt, but there's a lot of teams going around that we're gonna learn a little bit about this week. So give me Ole Miss over Bama.
All right. So because you put one on the record, I also want to put one on the record. This is not my pick, but you've said it multiple times. This is 2023. Anything can happen. We've already seen all the hype coming out of this team. So I want it on the record. Watch out for Colorado at Oregon this weekend.
No shot.
I don't think so either.
No shot.
I think the prime magic runs out, but you remember we said the exact same thing going into week 1, Colorado at TCU.
No. I was almost right about them losing to freaking Colorado State. That shouldn't even been a game, dude. But
I want it on the record in case.
That's fair. That's fair, but you got to keep this in mind. And I try not to follow teams outside the SEC because I truly don't care. They lost their best player, in Travis Hunter. One, he was explosive on offense, but that man was a very big defender. He literally played 120 plays a game. They lost him. So it's almost like they lost 2 players. They lost a wide receiver and a defensive back.
They've got to fill 2 slots there.
Yeah, so that's a big loss for them. But, okay. So what's your real pick then? Let's get to it. Come on now.
My real pick, especially after last night's game, give me BYU plus 7.5 at Kansas this weekend. Both teams are 3-0. This is a Big 12 matchup now because BYU is in the Big 12. Kansas is one of those teams they've improved over the last couple of years, but I just don't trust Kansas as a football team. They are a basketball school. Give me BYU over Kansas in this game. Both of us, taking a little bit safer route this week, trying to go with the 3 points. I absolutely loved that Ole Miss pick. Obviously, I picked them this week in the predictions. I was going to double down with the prediction and have Ole Miss as my upset pick, but you sent me the text first and said,
"Hey." So I was going to do that. But I literally swapped my pick because you chose Ole Miss to win the game, which kind of pissed me off. So look, I'm sorry, man. I just got to it first, and I did my homework this week. You should be proud, dude.
Hey,
You should
I
be
give
proud.
you
Now,
did
one
do.
thing I will say, because as much as I like to go big or go home, there was not a lot of games to choose from over the 10-point margin. That like even sounded like it was remotely smart to choose.
And there
So
was a bunch of games that I looked at that I was like, man, I want to pick this team right here, but the spread was so small because we made the deal.
exactly,
It has to be above 5 points for it to count as an underdog pick. And there were so many teams I wanted to pick this weekend, and the spread was like 2.5, 3.5. Florida State Clemson was 1. Florida State is a
dude,
1.
that makes no sense because I wanted to pick that one. That made no sense, man. I'm like, how is Clemson only a 1-point dog to a team that's ranked third in the nation who somehow doesn't drop in the polls after they beat Boston College by 2 points or 3 points? Man, whatever. I completely understand with you though, but I don't feel bad about choosing Ole Miss over Bama, even if it pisses you off. I hope it does piss you off, because I'm out here for blood. I'm getting this dub. All right, I'm winning this whole series all season long. You're never even going to sniff a winning. Like you're not going to get the lead at all during this entire time, dude. Like all 12 weeks, it's all me, dude. Give it to me. You might as well go ahead and send that prize over, dude. Like me and my wife are hungry. We're starving, dude. I need to eat. Give it to me. Let's go.
I don't know if we came out and said it on the podcast, but what we're playing for with this pick segment right here, we've decided,
Mortgage.
the loser
Mortgage.
is going. Hey,
it's,
down there.
it's the mortgage.
We're playing for basically a steak dinner. I mean, obviously you can order whatever you want to, but basically it's a steak dinner. $50 gift card to a restaurant of our choosing. I mean, I'm sure there's different restaurants up there in Knoxville that we don't have down here.
Texas Roadhouse, dude. $50 to your restaurant of your choice, man. It doesn't have to be complicated. It's just
I hope Texas Roadhouse sounds really good. Oh,
they got the best salad in the nation, dude. All right, dude.
salad at a steakhouse.
It's a side, bro. Come on now. Let's go. Look, I've had a lot of time with this, but once again, it's a really long episode. I apologize. But like whether you're cutting grass, whether you're on the way to work, in the gym, getting that pump in, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. We have made some upgrades. So shout out to Michael. I think he's starting to really invest into this thing. Got a laptop. So hopefully the static's been a little bit less this time, but we're even trying to run the show off a new app, and that way we kind of do the video as well. But we're trying to work some things out, and I'm excited for the future. I'm still mad about yesterday. Obviously, Tennessee, the Vols, they lost, and it was ugly. But, there's always next year.
I'm not giving up on this year. I know you're not either. But yes, it's very frustrating when you're the better team going into Gainesville. You still
Yeah,
come with a loss. But hey, we've been through the dark years of Tennessee, so we can
absolutely.
get through it this year too.
That's
Um,
right.
but what else you got for us, Skylar?
Man, go Big Orange.
Absolutely, go Big Orange, guys. We will see you next week with our week 4 review and our week 5 predictions.
Tarpley will be ahead again.
All right,
Take it
see,
easy, boy.
appreciate all the love and support, and we will see you next week.